National Hispanic Foundation for the Arts. It was myself, Jimmy Smith, and Sonia Braga, who were the co-founders after we had basically talked to Felix Sanchez in D.C., who's a lawyer and a lobbyist. And we all agreed that we just don't have quality representation. And when we are on screen, it's too few and too far in between. So we decided to start a foundation to raise monies to give scholarships and, more importantly, connectivity to people, young people in the college, arena that were doing well in their grade point averages and certain handful of Ivy League colleges. And we say, hey, we want to represent you. We want to help you represent us, really. And the scholarships, while they weren't, a lot of money, they were money that would help them finish their thesis. And then, more importantly, we would connect them with the heads of diversity of the studios and the networks and have people that really represent us so that we're not, constantly feeling disenfranchised. And, it started out small and the waves go up and down, but we're doing better and better. And I think we're at a point now where the mainstream understands that we are a huge portion of their viewing audience and consumers of their products, yet we don't see ourselves portrayed fairly and squarely on their shows. So I think they get it. It's been a long battle, but it's one that we've never let up on. And so I think things are changing. I think we are seeing better written characters. We've seen a show like Cristela, although it was canceled, it was still a wonderful opportunity to support a young Latina who, wrote and produced this show that was fantastic. And we'll be seeing more of her. We'll be seeing more of people like Robert Rodriguez and his El Rey network. I just finished working on From Dusk Till Dawn, playing a very evil character there. But, again, another step in the right direction to have him, heading a network that's dedicated not just to Latinos or Latino issues, but to including us. We see and we love and we consume all kinds of products. So, we're not just Latino-centric where, every story has to be all Latino cast, but it's a place where you're not going to be, marginalized, where you're not going to be like just the servant or the maid or the criminal. And that's what we need to see more of. So I feel really grateful that I was able to play the President of the United States on HBO for a season on The Brink. And although it was canceled recently after being picked up, I feel like that has afforded me more opportunities to play politicians or people with a higher level of dignity and leadership skills than we normally see. That's one of the problems I have. We usually provide the threat, but we rarely save the day. So, we're almost always the zero and never the hero is what I used to say in a lot of stories. And that's got to change. I mean, I don't mind us being the bad guys. Sure, we have bad guys. But we also have good guys and gals that are extremely talented, that are extremely accomplished, and you never see them. You don't see them often, and you don't see them save the day. You don't see them as critical parts of the story. And that's what's going to change, and it's happening. But it's a change that takes time, and it takes the community's support. We have to have our people basically stop, accepting the bad representation and saying, hey, we're going to wait till you get it right. The problem we have is that we go see anything and everything. As long as it's a big budgeted movie and it's everybody else is watching it, we watch it too. And even if it doesn't represent our people well, we're so used to it. We're apathetic about it. And I think it's time that we say, hey, hang on a second now. I understand you may not have meant to be offensive, but that's unacceptable if something is. Right. I remember seeing a movie about 6-7 years ago where it was a beautiful theme, a great movie. Actually, I'll name it, called Pay It Forward. Beautiful story. And, of course, not to ruin it for folks, but at the end, it was a Latino kid that does the worst thing in the world to the movie's lead. And it's like, wow, wow, you finally waited to put a Latino, and that's what he does? And he's like the worst thing you could imagine. So I'm thinking, why? Why do we allow ourselves to be put in that situation when other communities do not? Other communities are very protective of their image, and because of that, you don't see them get abused in the media, nowhere near the way our people do. And that takes consciousness, that takes an effort, it takes a concerted effort to say, hey, enough. That was
That's true.
yesterday's stereotype. It doesn't wash anymore. If you're going to put us as bad guys, where's the balancing? Otherwise, you're just perpetuating an old stereotype. Well, I can't answer how it translates to them because I don't know what they're really about nowadays. I see that some young kids are extremely evolved. They're like indigo children, and others are just completely unconscious and just don't care about anything but what the radio programs them to care about. What beats they hear over and over again, and they seem hypnotized by bling and the external things out there. So there's two types of youth I see. I break it down. Those that are conscious and aware and expect more from the world. Those are the ones that I think will appreciate this kind of lifetime achievement award. And then there's those that have no clue about anything and are easily led and are manipulated. Those are the ones we need to reach because they're going down a path that is dangerous. And if they can be manipulated into war and supporting things that are not good, then it doesn't bode well for the rest of us. So I'm grateful to get this award that says, the efforts in general of my choices are appreciated, and it's by a group that is about bringing humanity together. And that, to me, is important. That's what I believed in as a kid. When I was a little kid, I was like a little, dreamer in my neighborhood. And I listened to music that was different than everybody else. And I drew, and I was very artistic. And I wondered where were the other little kids like me. And I was lonely. And an award like this lets people know that we're out there, the people who care and want to evolve and become better human beings and love each other more than we've ever been taught to are there. And if enough of us pay attention, we'll recognize each other and create a better world. Well, there's a couple of trends that I notice. I mean, one of them is a troubling one, which is like film has become tentpole. It's got to be some sort of superhero or comic book character come to life, or a huge animation spectacle. Everything has to be a spectacle in movies now. Otherwise, they don't put any money into it, and that's really sad. Independent films getting lower and lower budgeted. So I feel like the human condition. For me, the great fireworks come from human interplay. It's great to see bombs and explosions and things, but that means nothing if you don't care about the people that it's happening around. So the great movies from like the golden era of film, from the 30s to the 60s. I mean, movies like Midnight Cowboy, or Drugstore Cowboy in the 80s. I mean, all these cowboys are funny. Movies that basically make you feel different when you walk out than when you walked in. I saw a movie called The Mission, and it affected me so deeply as the tears ran down my face. It made me care about people I did not know simply because they were fellow human beings. Where are those movies today? Where are they being promoted? That's what I want to see more of. Stuff that, you don't have to have $1 zillion to make, and you don't have to make $1 zillion to be successful. That's what I'd love to see. And right now, cable TV is where it's at. Cable TV is a combination of television and film because you can take your time. Actually, it's even better than film in the sense that you don't have just 2.5 hours or 2 hours to tell a story. You have a season. You have 10 episodes. You have 15. You have 6. Whatever it is, you can spread it out. You can binge watch it. You can watch The House of Cards or Breaking Bad or any of the incredible shows that are out there that are pushing me out. That's what I see the future of television, is really a mixture of features and TV, which is now basically cable. So I see Hulu, Amazon, Netflix, all of these up and coming networks are they're taking chances that the studios and the networks, the traditional networks, haven't been. So for me, I'm excited about where that's going. I just hope that it doesn't lead down a dark hole. I feel like, since the 80s, everything is like edgy and gritty, and everybody wants to be edgy, and everybody wants to push the envelope, but where are we pushing it? Everything
Right.
is like, how much more of the human body can we exploit? After a while, there's no more to show, you know? So we have to go somewhere else and go deeper. It's not just about the body, but the mind and the soul and the things that are eternal. Those are the issues I'd like to see, without, of course, becoming too maudlin or taking yourself overly serious. We can be entertaining but deep too. Hi, this is Esai Morales. I want to shout out to all the Latino Scoop fans out there. Keep it up, keep growing, and keep loving.